cold like Minnesota. Need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat.
One. Good to go? All right. This is 5 on 20 News, where the news is here and the newscasters are also here. With Joel Foster.
And Golda. It's Wednesday, May 31st, and we're coming to you live from the Creative Tucson studio in downtown Tucson. First, let's talk local headlines.
All right, Arizona Senator. Get rid of the deal, and now says he wants to renegotiate the terms instead. NAFTA for AZ. Oh, get something to say?
Oh, no, I was just chiming in with you. Flake's actually opposed Trump on this, which is interesting. So he is on the Republican side. So sorry.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it might have to do with maybe the proximity to the border. I mean, he has got a little more realistic point of view on how the deal impacts the state rather than this kind of like abstract.
Yeah, and actually in that posting he made, he wants local businesses to come forward and say if NAFTA has been benefit to them, because he wants some ammo, I think, to go up against Trump, because he needs some backing. The poor guy, I mean, he's a Republican. Right. Like the Republicans tend to vote 100% with Trump, and Flake doesn't stand up too much, but we got to back him up when he does, because he doesn't do it very often.
That's a good point. Yeah. Because as we know, data works with the president, right?
Okay, maybe not with the president, but we're hoping long-term here that something will work.
All right, NAFTA for AZ, which is what Flake named his project, is designed to convince the Trump administration that the deal has produced positive effects in states like Arizona, who depend on trade with Mexico. In a recently released video, Flake said that trade with Mexico supports about 100,000 jobs in Arizona, and that Mexican shoppers spend about $8 billion per year in the state. And that's another issue that people don't think about either, is that there's people with money in Mexico. I think people envision it as they're living in huts or something, and it's like they spend money here. They come shopping, and it's part of our economy.
You ask, that's what he's saying. Ask any store owner, ask any grocery owner, ask anyone. You know, would it hurt your business if everybody from Mexico didn't come and buy things? And you know, you can't just have it both ways. You can't just have it. We're gonna, oh, they're terrible. Oh, well, but buy our things and do our work and build the houses. But you know, stay here. So yeah, if you're a store owner, call in. Look at Jeff Flake's site and give them your say so, or anybody here who feels they've been affected by NAFTA.
Yeah, and I think it's an important point is when they're doing the right things, support them, and exactly, yeah, that's the way to go.
So speaking of which, can we bring up the next issue now? Is that all right?
Do it.
All right, because the lawyer for Lonnie Schwartz, that's the Border Patrol agent who shot 16-year-old Elena Rodriguez in the back across the Mexican border, is asking to bar testimony from expert witnesses on the use of force. The case is yet to go to trial, but former Internal Affairs Chief James Tomczyk has commented on a video of the shooting that has not been made public. And he was reported in the Arizona Republic, and this is a quote. He said that 2 Nogales police officers and a Border Patrol agent are standing at the fence without weapons drawn as some marijuana smugglers are scaling the fence. And then Schwartz comes up and pulls out his gun, sticks it through the fence, and begins firing. He empties his clip, reloads, and fires again. And no rocks could be seen in the video. And so the defense on that is that it's in self-defense, but he has time to reload a clip into his gun and empty some more shots into this guy. So obviously this case had not come to trial yet, but this was an Internal Affairs post, and that guy was forced out, actually, during the Obama administration. He wasn't forced out during Trump's administration. This was Tomczyk, and he was forced out of his Internal Affairs post, and that's because he was fighting against corruption inside the Border Patrol. And so what he did is he instituted a polygraph test. And he found out that about half the guys, this was the big push to increase the Border Patrol agents, and he found out half the guys who took that polygraph test failed it. And not only that, they were willing to say why they failed it. And a lot of them were actually, let me get his quote here because I actually have, it was quoted in the Arizona Republic on this. This is actually on NPR, is an NPR interview is quoted on this. He said, it was what these applicants had done in their past that most concerned us. They included serious felony crimes, active involvement in smuggling activities, and several confirmed infiltrators who were actually employed by drug trafficking organizations who had been directed to seek out positions with Customs and Border Protection to advance ongoing criminal conspiracies. And so this isn't just a nobody saying this. This was the Chief of Internal Affairs at the Border Patrol. And he's no longer there.
Right. Yeah, and then it's kind of one of those like unintended consequences things where, if you expand how many people you're going to hire, well, you have to hire people, right? So I think they're having a hard time hiring people. So that's like you start taking people who maybe shouldn't have the job.
Right,
and
you're not taking seriously the responsibility of oversight of use of force. So that's why they don't want that guy to testify on what is the correct use of force. They don't want body cameras. They don't want evidence. There is a role for police, for border patrol, for all of our military. But if you're not willing to have the feedback and be professional and have the transparency and have that oversight, I'm sorry, I don't trust everybody that much.
Yeah, good point.
So, okay, that was a serious one. You want to cover the Chipotle?
Sure.
All right.
Too. All right, we'll move to the next one.
Yeah, there's a hack, right? Something like that. Some kind of a hack of credit card information.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, luckily I don't go to Chipotle very often, but I think I did use my credit card
I
there.
never do.
You never go to Chipotle?
I've been a couple times.
Yeah, one of my daughters liked it for a while, so we had to go a couple times.
It's like a football I gave you.
Yeah, they did. It's huge.
Speaking of which, all right, at least 14 Chipotle locations in southern Arizona were affected by the hack of a company's credit card payment system. According to Chipotle, the hacks occurred sometime between March 24th and April 18th. They said that if you used your debit card at Chipotle during this period, then you should, quote, remain vigilant to the possibility of fraud by reviewing your credit card statements. Stolen data includes the cardholder's name, card numbers, expiration dates, and verification codes. But Chipotle said not to worry because the information will likely be poorly digested, cause discomfort, then promptly be flushed down the toilet. Yeah, I don't.
Did you just say that?
The thing about Chipotle, I feel like you just get this football of like, I can never taste anything that's in there because it's just everything jumbled together. I don't know.
It's everything you want, and sometimes you just shouldn't get everything you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much. That's the problem. Yeah, that's my thing with Chipotle. That's my Chipotle rant.
Yeah, well, so beyond Chipotle, low-income and first-generation college students in Tucson will receive over $1 million in grants through the Pima Community College. Pima just announced the grants yesterday as part of their Upward Bound program, which helps low-income students with tutoring, career counseling, and college workshops. The University of Arizona also received a grant of $275,000 to help low-income students succeed in university. So if you know anyone who's been struggling a little bit in high school maybe, but they're upward bound, they want to do better, they should apply for these grants.
Yeah, I think it's great. I was a high school teacher for a while, and I had juniors and seniors, so that was always like the kind of heartbreaking thing. Like a lot go to college, but very few sort of make it through that hump of the first year. Particularly, you don't have the support systems that a lot of other families have, and yeah, it's just tough. So it's nice to see them actually putting some effort into trying to keep these students in there.
Yeah, I'd like to see people also involved like in the foster care system, all of that should really make sure these kids know it's possible, because it's like some of these kids aren't sure they're really going to make it, and it's like, yep, we got your back.
Right,
so,
right,
yeah.
And they can. It's really, it's just a matter of like sticking with things. I think they become used to sort of giving up on things, and it's easier to sort of just walk away from it rather than stick with it. And they can get through it. I have some friends that got through college that probably shouldn't have, but did. So it's like, they can definitely do it. So
I've done a few things I shouldn't have probably.
Myself was probably All right, I'm up. All right, the city of South Tucson will receive $300,000 from the EPA in order to analyze contaminated sites in the city. The Brownfield Grant Program aims to redevelop commercial areas of the city, such as the Central Business District and the 4th and 6th Avenue business corridors, according to an EPA press release. Brownfield sites refer to properties containing hazardous or pollutant substances that block economic development. In a 2009 EPA study, the agency found that there were 127 potential brownfield sites in South Tucson. In addition to the brownfield grant, the White Mountain Apache Authority will receive $600,000 from the EPA to treat contaminants in tribal housing projects caused from the manufacture and use of methamphetamines. The grant serves to resolve a massive shortage in tribal housing. Yeah, so
they had meth labs, and they're cleaning them up, and now
Right.
they got more housing.
Yeah, so that's the idea. They clean them up.
I guess that's a win.
It is a win.
Maybe
yeah.
we should start in a different starting point.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's the Band-Aid approach.
Yeah, but anyway, that's okay.
But it's good. I know.
EPA
We
is
can't
helping
complain.
out.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But the 127 brownfield sites in South Tucson is crazy.
Yeah, where do they fit them all? It's 1 square mile. It's like
1 square mile.
127 sites. I don't know what those are.
Maybe that's why they
parks?
separated South Tucson, because it's contaminated.
South Tucson's a great place. It's got beautiful
It is. I love
parks.
Tucson. I taught in South Tucson. Yeah, it's great down there. Yeah, I love the culture. It's, I don't know, unfortunately, pollution goes to those areas, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's like, we can afford to go there. I don't know. Maybe we should research that. We got to find that out.
That's a good one. I know.
That.
We should delve into that. That's a good idea.
So, all right. But for now, I'm going to take a moment to talk to you about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of journalism. We are going to give you the news as we see it. And we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves. So join us, do it now. Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any news tips for us, shoot an email to info@creativetucson.org. We're all here for you. We want to cover all stories from all points of view. So don't be strangers. And this is actually my first day doing it. So I can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely. All right, and
so now in national and international news.
all right. As the U.S. seems intent on leaving the historic Paris Climate Agreement, as you might have heard, it looks as though China is stepping into the leader role. China and the U.S. the EU rather, are preparing to announce joint efforts to reduce global emissions worldwide, which is the primary purpose behind the Paris Agreement. A statement prepared for an EU-China summit on Thursday says that the new alliance will, quote, lead the energy transition towards a low-carbon economy. The document describes climate change as a national security issue and commits to funding and the reduction of greenhouse gases. The partnership is serving as a last-ditch effort to save the Paris Agreement, which will be difficult to implement now that the U.S. has decided to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement. On Wednesday, as we know, our president tweeted that he would make his decision about whether to pull out of the climate agreement. And as we know, today he made the announcement about 3 o'clock that he's out of there. And we are out of there as a result. So that's that.
Well, it's not that yet, right?
Right.
Did Macron say something about you can't just pull out? It's an agreement. An agreement
it's
is
like
an agreement.
Brexit. It's going to take some time to actually
to
go
decide
through the which is going to be a problem for President. We know he doesn't like to wait for things, and so that might be an issue. He might forget about it. Maybe we can just keep it in place, and he'll just forget about it, and we can have him do something else.
He might have forgotten all about it.
That's the solution there, I think.
Right, because his staffing levels aren't really that high.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so the number of homeless people in Los Angeles has reached a new record. In 2016, over 55,000 were without a home in LA County, an increase of 25% from the year before, and the highest number since the county started using this data in 2007. Along with California, western states such as Nevada and Oregon experienced rapid increases in homelessness. But no one matched Hawaii. I think that's because it's a lot nicer to be homeless in Hawaii. But they experienced a 30% rise in homelessness in 2016. While New York still technically has the highest number of homeless people with 74,000, the state has mandatory shelter laws in place, so very few are forced to sleep outside. This isn't the case for western states and Hawaii, where 3/4 of the homeless population have to routinely sleep outside. But LA is trying to do better, as the city approved 2 tax increases in 1 year that would use the money to help homeless residents. So that's positive.
It's good. Yeah, they're trying. Yeah. Do you think? Because it's weird, the western states, do you think it is a matter of weather?
I don't know. I'd much rather be homeless in Hawaii, I'll tell you that much. I'd go there and you know, lay out. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't talk like that. I've never been homeless, so I don't want to
Right,
devalue.
I mean,
you know, the
you got to
pain
think
of that,
about
but
weather.
still.
Like I'm from Boston. That's like the last place I'd want to be homeless. You know, in the wintertime, it's horrible. So
right, yeah. In Canada, you know, they have a lot of shelters because you'd be dead if you were homeless.
Definitely, that's the thing.
So yeah, it's a hard problem. It's a hard problem.
It
so
is.
At least they're doing something with it.
Right, and it's an issue in California, especially when you have the real estate prices kind of going crazy, and you know.
It's like I'd be homeless probably in California.
Totally, I wouldn't be able to afford a place out there. No way, absolutely not, impossible. Yeah,
Right.
So I don't know what you do. It's this weird situation you have where you know you want neighborhoods fixed up and you want things to
be nice.
Yeah,
Then how do you
businesses come
afford
in,
it?
but then you know, like Tucson's sort of going through our own little sort of issue with that, right? I mean, downtown prices have gone
it's
up
like
a
it's
lot.
gone up because we fixed it up. And
Yeah,
so the prices went up.
yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe, you know, people should get into real estate, and you know, but it's hard because a lot of the homeless people is you know, had mental health issues, has really serious you know, problems.
Exactly.
So you've got to have a multi-pronged approach. You've got to address the problems. You've got to make sure there's jobs available in the whole local economy, and you've really got to do that compassionately. While at the same time, you can't just hand out stuff because there's also working people who aren't homeless who are barely making it.
Sure.
You know, and they, So.
Yeah. That was the great thing about this initiative they had in the LA. The last tax increase was they did have this multiple pronged approach where they were helping mentally ill was part of that plan. It was a big part of that plan. And you know, the issue always goes is like, well, what do you do first? Because do you put somebody in a home, or do you deal with the mental illness part of it? Because one causes the other, right?
I mean, you should talk to Primavera, because Nancy Bissell at Primavera had a good approach to this. You could go to the shelter, but you had to get up at 6 a.m. and get in the van and go to the temporary workplace. And the guys who didn't want to do that, they wouldn't be in the shelter.
Right.
So it's kind of that tough love approach, maybe. I mean, there's people on the front lines. We ought to figure out what they're doing, because they're doing some stuff.
Right. Yeah. All right, let's move on. A woman seeking asylum in Canada died of hypothermia in northern Minnesota this week. Mavis, I'm going to say Atutier, is a 57-year-old woman thought to be from Ghana who was found by police less than a mile from the Canadian border at Emerson, Manitoba, which is the border town there. Emerson has experienced an increase in those seeking asylum since Donald Trump took over the presidency in January, with 477 people caught by the Canadian police since the start of 2017. In addition to Emerson, 233 people were caught at the British Columbian border and 1,933 in Quebec. Immigration advocates partly blame Atutier's death to the Safe Third Country Agreement, which bars people from seeking asylum in Canada if they've already tried in the U.S. Advocates say that it forces people to cross into Canada illegally, which is a treacherous journey that often leads to freezing deaths. So I'd never heard of that law before. But basically, so if you try to get asylum in the U.S. and you're turned down, you can't then go to Canada.
So they would have different rules. I think Canada's a little bit more open to asylum in some cases.
They are. So if you go to Canada first for asylum, I mean, that would be the way to go.
Right,
you
have to actually get there to apply for asylum.
And exactly, and if you get turned down in the U.S., your chances, you're out of there.
Right.
So that's what it forces people to now cross illegally and, you know, going to Canada. You were just talking about the homeless situation in Canada, that it's freezing cold there, so, you know, it's you know, just as dangerous as crossing the southern border, right? I mean, in terms of the desert, it's, you know, it's super dangerous.
Oh,
so,
yeah, no, the No More Deaths people here, they just, you know, they've been putting out water stations, you know, for years, and it's because it's, you know, it's the humanitarian aid. You have to first make sure people are okay, and then figure out, you know, where you can legally be.
Exactly, yeah.
So, no, that's a sad one, and I don't know what you would put out there. You can't put water stations.
No, that's the thing, blankets or something, but I mean.
What do you put, I don't know if there's a solution. You don't really want to encourage anybody crossing over there, but.
Yeah, no, not at all. But I mean, I think that maybe that third country agreement needs to be looked at, and
the whole issue of asylum seekers has to be addressed too. We need something there too.
Yeah. I mean, now you have people crossing the border trying to get caught. You know, it's like because they're seeking asylum, and that's what a lot of people I think aren't understanding is that they're escaping from other places.
Yeah, escaping from something. I mean, I talked to a guy recently who family had seen a murder, and so they knew they were going to be attacked, and so they snuck into the U.S. And it's like, you know, I would go someplace to help my family. So you can't just pretend that these things don't exist and, like, you know, hide our eyes and, like, hold our ears and, like, pretend it's not there. We're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So let's see what else is going on. Oh, the House Intelligence Committee, this is interesting, issued its first 2 subpoenas against former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and Donald Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. The subpoenas were issued in response to allegations that Flynn met with Russian officials over the summer while Trump campaigned for president. And Flynn was caught lying to the FBI in the fall about his interactions with the Russians and was fired soon after. You don't lie to the FBI. That's not really smart. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, Flynn had said that he wouldn't agree to testify to the FBI, but seemed to change his mind last week. Cohen, however, said on Tuesday that he would not cooperate with congressional investigators. Now, neither of them have a choice. An unnamed source told CNN that 7 subpoenas were issued on Wednesday, 4 involving the Russia-Trump links, while the other 3 were related to the unmasking of individuals who the FBI wiretapped talking with Russian officials. The subpoenas came on the same day that ousted FBI Chief James Comey agreed to testify about his interactions with Trump, who he has claimed tried to persuade him to end his investigation into the Russia links. Yeah, we finally get to see it. It's coming out.
Thickens, I know. Right, the show's going to start.
That's right. I'm just waiting for the last line. You know what the last line has to be of this whole show? You know what the last line has to be.
What is it?
The last line is, You're fired!
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's going to come full circle, right?
We got to get there. We got to get there. It's going to be a series.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. No, this will make a great movie someday. That's all I can say.
That's right, yeah. They say truth is stranger than fiction. But yeah, and I'm really glad to hear that we're going to actually get to hear what Comey has to say, because, you know, Putin gets away with this stuff in his country. You know,
right,
you just, have them poisoned, have some tea. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, at this point, I don't know why anyone's even putting up, like, let them speak. Let's find out what happened at least. I mean, maybe there's nothing, but who knows? Why is everyone, like, withholding information? That's what I want to know. Like, if you really have nothing to hide, why are you...
Why would you withhold information?
Yeah, that's the thing that's, I don't know.
That's pretty obvious. Yeah. What you should read, what's his name? You know, the chess champion guy. It was Karpov versus Kasparov. Kasparov wrote a great book called Winter is Coming about Vladimir Putin.
Right.
And he wrote it in 2015, before all this stuff happened. Right. And he's a Republican. He's like Reagan, you know. He was like the moral leader, you know, all this stuff. And he's just like laid out all this stuff Putin does, and Trump's just trying to do it. But it's like, luckily, we're not there yet.
Soon. All right, this was 5 on 20 News with Joel Foster and
Golda Velez.
All right, this is our first day. She did a great job.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot. We will see you tomorrow. I don't think we have a show tomorrow, so it'll probably be Monday. All right.
That's good.
See you later.